Did you pray today? I can get down on some gang. Did you pray to get down on the gang?
It's probably one of the main contending arguments. Another one is like Mark 14, which I did talk about. There's a couple other ones, I think Matthew 4 is basically a really good one. Of Matthew 4 is that this interaction, what happened, place shortly after Jesus was done fasting for 40 days and 40 nights. In this chapter, only 2 people are presented in these first 10 verses, so right, literally at the beginning of it. And so the only 2 people that are here present is Jesus and Satan. And as Satan is trying to evaluate, are you really that person that we're anticipating? Because what's very interesting is Satan is doing the same thing that he's done since the very beginning. He is so familiar with the scriptures and he's so familiar with God's word. He knows when he's intentionally twisting it, abusing it in a sense where it causes and instills some form of doubt. And what's very interesting is that Satan actually offers something to God from the reader's perspective, kind of absurd, because, at this point, especially if you're like a Christian more than like 6 months or so, you already understand that Jesus is God. So it's like, how are you offering this person what's already his? But actually, if you take a step back, he's actually evaluating if he's just a mere mortal or God. Satan is seeing this being. He's trying to test if it is a mere mortal, because a mere mortal would easily take it. Like if it was me, I'm not gonna lie, it would have been a very difficult position for me, and I definitely would have considered it and take it. Especially like my very early on the walk, because the thing is, this is something that the flesh really wants. The flesh is constantly being appealed to. Satan and his underlings underneath him is doing these certain things to basically appeal to the dark side of the human heart, sin. And so Jesus basically already did everything necessary in order to not only fulfill that basic fast, but basically being tested. His, I guess, what's a good word? His dedication towards God, the Father, right, shows that even though I just broke it, whatever Satan is tempting, it's not going to work, because you already gone through this. God is much more capable than just being a mere mortal. He is God in the flesh. Good, interesting highlight here is, again, this interaction between Satan and Jesus, is that Satan is really just proposing everything that Solomon worked out for. It took him a lifetime. He was a person that was born smart and wise, and then he asked that in abundance from God, and he did exactly like that. Unfortunately, he misused it, he being Solomon, and basically lost everything that he had. What Satan was offering, because he saw an opportunity and be like, this is a person that came from a line of Jews. We went from experiencing like certain sins that kind of gradually got worse and worse and worse over time, that after Solomon, it's just like now it's super easy to just basically tempt human beings. It's a lot. It's just confounded, it's compacted, and there's like a lot of things why certain things are said and why there's certain things do. But bottom line here is that basically Satan is presenting this thing. If he's really God, he wouldn't accept this. If he's not God, he would just be easily tempted, just like Solomon and anybody follow suit after. They all fall, they all fail. That's what man proved time and time again. How is this proving Jesus is divine past beyond negating? Because if this was to present somebody and they just negate it, does that prove they're God? It's just that whenever Jesus or God was tempted at all, whether in the New or the Old Testament, he never did once. So not only was this for this time, but it also, there's different times where God was about to commit evil or do something that would like warrant some type of reaction that is borderline like sinful. God never did, and then he never caved in, because not only is he capable of not sinning, because it's not true to his divine nature, he still refuses to, even if he has the capability to do so. These tests are being implemented, but notice how Jesus makes it to be known in these specific passages. In these passages, he's not only telling Satan to remember what the scriptures have said, but he's actually placing himself as that same God that gave those very same commandments. And since the only speakers are being here, instead of saying, God, hey, don't tempt the God or the God of Israel, he says your God. So the fact that if I'm talking to somebody, I'm addressing them, and I said your, I'm actually placing myself in that subject of your. And so the fact that he emphasize himself twice, especially around verse 8 or so. Jesus is actually directly responding to Satan and his attempts and these tricks and trying to basically mutter the scriptures and reminding him that, hey, do not tempt your God. God is the only person to to test people. Misspoke there. Yeah, God has always been the person to test his people to see, because he's valuing their heart and this and all that. Prove to me that you are who you say you are and who you your heart is gearing towards. And so this is something that God does. It's actually being done to him. And so God here, in the person of Jesus, is reminding, saying, don't do this thing because it's been commanded. You know the scriptures well enough. I'm rebuking you, correcting you. And on top of that, I'm giving you that nice subtle reminder that happens twice here, that do not tempt your God. It gets underlooked because it seems to basically like a general statement, but it's actually much more than that. It's a very specific manner how to be basically reminded and acknowledged, to the point that given to the reader is it has to be no. Like, it's very difficult to just try to simply get around it. Because if it was worded any other way, one could say, hey, it has been in the scriptures, don't tempt the Lord. You know, things like that. If it says like that, it's like a general statement. It's not being directed towards any specific person or any type of audience, really. It's just like a statement being made. However, saying do not tempt the God, your God, he's just basically reminding, I'm the one who created you. I'm the one who basically put all these things. These things are all mine. And so that's what you're trying to do, because the only person that's being present and being tempted is Jesus. So the fact that he says do not tempt God, and the only person that's being tempted is Jesus, what's going on here? Jesus is coinciding with himself as God. You see how if you read it and you understand and you take it by piece, and of course allowing God to help you understand it, the more that it becomes revealing to you, how it becomes telling. It just makes sense for the natural man, the one who doesn't understand scriptures. This just looks like a bunch of words on a piece of paper, and it seems foreign to them. I mean, that's how it was for me when before I know Christ. And so thankfully I was able to reach to a degree when it comes to like the Trinity or God's divine essence, Jesus having pre-existence, a pre-mortal agency before he was in the person of, or the flesh, right, of Jesus. It's kind of weird, like these words. What can I say? The person and the flesh of? Because there was a pre-incarnate Jesus. So, well, anyways, God has always had agency, even in the Old Testament, before he came in the person of Christ, right? So it's very interesting. There's so much intricacies and richness when it comes to scriptures. It has so many layers to it. It really does. Like, I can't even put into words how much richness there is.